Hey gang, are you in a band in Austin? You're looking to make the leap from the band of schmoes to the band of pros? Well, you can start by rehearsing at Space. Space is a state-of-the-art affordable venue for rehearsal and recording located just a few short miles south of downtown Austin. 31 spacious rooms, great PAs, and a very helpful and courteous staff. They have adapted to the COVID standards, and it is a very safe place to rehearse. You move in one way, you go in one door, you go out the other, you bring your own microphones. That's Space Rehearsal and Recording. Find them at 512-448-9518 or go to spaceatx.com and take the talent train from Schmoesville to Protown with Space Rehearsal and Recording. Let's get down. Hey gang, we all know Spotify has become the ultimate app destination for music lovers. I have an account and I love it. I find new music by following Tastemaker playlists, and I make my own playlist that I share featuring music from guests that have been on the show. But did you know that aside from millions of songs, Spotify now has all of your favorite podcasts, including How Did I Get Here? Yes, all of your podcasts are available on Spotify. Just go to Spotify.com or download the app from your app store, and don't forget to follow How Did I Get Here? That's Spotify. Millions of songs, thousands of podcasts. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right, hello, I'm Johnny, I'm your host. Welcome to the show. I hope you guys all had a good weekend, whatever it is you did this weekend. I had a good weekend. I did. My girlfriend and I went to Dallas, all right? So normally, I've been going to Dallas since like 1989 on the regs. I go there on a regular basis. But when I go there, I get paid to go there. I go to usually a cool place, hang out with some cool people. I got some cool friends. They come out, got some cool family. They'll come out, we'll go to a cool place to eat near the cool place where I'm playing. But I don't really like go to Dallas and do like the Dallas thing, right? So I did this time. And it's a weird place, man. It's real different. It's like Texas, man. It's totally the opposite of Austin when you go there. It was weird. We went to this place. We thought it was going to be cool. And it was not cool. There was a bunch of people with no masks, and they got on an elevator and held the elevator and were like motioning to us to come to the elevator. We're like, no way, man. I was like, I'm not going up to even where that elevator goes. So anyway, we ended up having a Dallas experience, and we got up early in the morning and we got the hell out of Dallas. I'll tell you that right now. We hightailed it back to Austin in safety and ended up hanging out. I had a really good weekend. I got some stuff done, talked to some people, and went over to my friend Gabe's house, Gabe Rhodes, sat outside, did a socially distanced family Easter lunch. That was really fun. Always great to see Gabe and Kimmy Rhodes and the family, Jolie, Sam, the kids. It's a scene, man. It was great. It's great seeing people again. I'm halfway vaccinated. I get vaccinated on Wednesday. So I've done the second vaccination. I get part 2, Electric Boogaloo, happens on Wednesday. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to live life not in fear. I will continue to wear a mask and be socially distant, but I don't mind seeing people and doing stuff, all right? Gang, I have a big announcement to make. My friend Kathy McCarty from legendary Austin band Glass Eye made a record in the 90s. It was called Dead Dog's Eyeball, and it was Kathy McCarty sings the songs of Daniel Johnston. Now, that record has probably gone out of print, but she has gotten the rights back to it, and she's putting it out on vinyl. It's going to come out on heavy vinyl and be a gatefold with high-quality double album cover with gorgeous graphic art by Ron Marks. All right, Kathy's worked really hard on this. They've gotten the record remastered. I don't know if you remember this record from the 90s, but like in the 90s, there was like this sort of like awakening of like these songwriters that you hadn't heard of, like Nick Drake or like Big Star. Remember there was a big 90s resurgence of Big Star. That's when I heard of them. And of course, Daniel Johnston was a big one because there were people like Kurt Cobain and other people out there talking about the great demos that he made in his room. So what Kathy did was she took the songs of Daniel, and she orchestrated them and put them in more of a band way, of an art art recording way. Like Kathy's like an art rock person. Glass Eyes like an art rock band. Anyway, you can give to this Kickstarter. I will put the link to it in my in the text of this podcast. You can go there and give to it. She's almost funded. All right. Once she gets her goal, then she'll be able to release this album on vinyl, and you'll be able to get it. So Kathy McCarty sings the songs of Daniel Johnston. The album's called Dead Dog's Eyeball. I wonder if you can look it up now and go listen to it. You might want this on vinyl. All right. Kathy's a great artist, and of course, Glass Eye is a legendary Austin band, amazing band. And I'm actually going to sit down and talk to her in person on Friday. She's also vaccinated. I said, do you want to come over and do this thing? She said, yeah. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to do it in person, and we're going to have a great time. All right, gang, I have a great big show for you today. Great big show. All right, I got Ben Jones from Beetroot Revival on the show. That's right. He's got a brand new solo album out that he made under quarantine called Going Nowhere Fast. It's 9 songs. He had a record he had almost done, right when COVID hit. He was doing it in the studio with people, and then he decided to do a whole different thing. He brought it back home, and he recorded it home and really made a fucking great record. All right. We have a great conversation about his life under quarantine, just kind of like how everything came about, how he ended up making this record, writing these songs. How, everyone's got a story now. Like, how'd you make it through the thing so far? It's been over a year now. We've been under quarantine. Anyway, we have a great conversation. But before I talk to Ben Jones about his fabulous album Going Nowhere Fast and his life under quarantine, I talked to my dear friend Brannen Temple. Brannen Temple has a band called Temple Underground. They're actually heading out on tour, and they start this Sunday here in Austin. It's called the New Dawn Tour. And in his band's going to be D Madness on bass, James Robinson singing, Andre Hayward, and you can get tickets. It'll be at Antone's, this Sunday, April 11th at 9 p.m. Go to AntonesNightclub.com for your tickets. He'll also be heading out to April 16th. He'll be at the High Tone in Memphis. April 17th, he'll be at Prestige Bistro in Marietta, Georgia. On April 18th, he'll be at City Winery in Nashville. He's also doing some other shows. You can find him on Facebook and Instagram. That's Brannen Temple, amazing drummer and great friend of mine. So before we talk to Ben Jones from Beetroot Revival about his new solo album, let's talk to my dear friend and amazing, amazing artist, Brannen Temple. Let's get down. All right. So, dude, how long has it been since you've been on tour, first of all?
You mean in life? The tour of life?
No, touring for music.
Let's see. Well, I guess maybe the first times I was on the road might have been in my teens.
Uh-huh.
So, that was eons ago, as they say. But, I'm one of the types that really, I don't necessarily see or subscribe to the idea of retirement.
Right.
I kind of feel like, once a musician, always a musician. Once an artist, I do know some of my older heroes and various people, they slowed down once they reached their 80s and sort of thing. But Roy Haynes is in his 90s?
Right.
And looks like he's still doing things when possible. So, if the planets align and the stars and Creator says that B-Temp drums should be playing all those years, and so be it.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know, because I think that there are a lot of us that are in this musical family that are definitely lifers that aren't looking for a way out. We're just looking for a way to keep doing it.
Absolutely. I feel like it's important to use ourselves as ways to give, give what we've been given. I don't take playing music for granted, so I want to be as healthy as long as I can and be able to share that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, knock on wood, we will be.
Absolutely. Good to hear you, man.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you, man. It's good to hear your voice.
Yes.
So you guys you're going to be playing some shows around the South and Southeast, but you're starting off here at Antone's on April 11th?
April 11th, yes, with Temple Underground, band that I've had, now since about 2006, and it sort of morphed from more of an instrumental jazz thing to sort of I don't know what to call it really, just sort of alternative soul meets rock meets jazz meets experimental. Yeah. Meets your mama. I don't know. Everybody, I don't know. But nonetheless, man, it's something that I'm very, very proud of, and because it's something that still challenges me.
Right.
And but yes, we're going to play next
Sunday.
Next Sunday.
Yeah.
The 11th at Antone's, and then we're going to move on to Little Rock. To play Aphrodisia Studios with the gentleman there that it's a buddy of ours named Tim, and that's on the 15th. Then we're going to move to Memphis, play the High Tone Cafe.
Yeah.
And then after that, Marietta with a buddy named Fontaine Lewis, who's actually going to be our tour manager.
Oh, awesome.
And has been in that role. And his place is the Prestige Bistro, also known as Jazz and Jokes.
Uh-huh.
And we'll be there. And all of these places, we're going to be, inviting other artists to work with us, which is really cool. So it's not just a me fest.
Right.
I really wanted to, utilize other musicians and sort of give others a platform to join in and express themselves and create like a larger family. And then the last date is Nashville, the following Sunday on the 18th. And then we head back home.
Nice, man. Is this going to be kind of like you have guest artists for Antone's like Jerron Marshall and Angelica Ray and Ivy Roots? Will they be playing with you?
No. We're going to have the three artists,
opening
sort of perform. Yeah, exactly. They got to perform sort of mini sets, and it's just a way for us to sort of showcase other talents. And I really thought in this case it would be great to have some ladies come and play, and have some artists that might not necessarily have the direct opportunities to play a venue like Antone's.
Right.
Of course, Ivy Roots, I've not met yet. We just sort of searched her out on the gram, the Instagram, and of course, Jerron is a friend of James's, and in the Black Pumas, and they're sort of having some successes. And Angelica is an artist that I worked with a couple of years ago. We did a short run, and I thought of her, and I thought, well, maybe it'd be really cool to just incorporate these artists.
Yeah.
And again, I really feel like I'm at a point in my career, a point in my life where, I don't need the continuous shine. I want to be able to share what's going on with my own successes with others. Yeah.
Well, that's what I love so much about that thing that you and Bobby Sparks, that James put together in Smithville and on Labor Day, was just sort of the community vibe of the thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And the endless collaboration that was going on.
Yeah, and there were so many, talented artists there that day, and everybody had the room to say all they needed to say.
Yeah.
Love it. I just want to encourage young musicians to, a lot of people think that they have to, this is a myth that I have to develop my own sound. Like I can't sound like anybody else. But the truth is that we all need heroes, and we all need to emulate someone.
Right.
And that is how we find our way.
Yeah.
Because there is only one Johnny.
Right.
There's only one Brannen Temple. So we eventually get there, but it's okay to sound like your heroes as long as you're also listening to your own gut and instincts, all of that.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: you're doing this. Do you feel like things are coming back musically? Like, obviously they are if we're all getting out and playing a little bit more nowadays.
A little, yeah. I mean, we see in Austin we're not to full capacity. Many of the clubs are still shut down and don't even really appear to be on the horizon, the verge of opening. But for whatever reason, some are. And we're just trying to, get out there and just sort of encourage the people, encourage the public.
Yeah.
Not necessarily move forth, through this pandemic,
right?
But to give people hope. Music is just a hope vibration, and without that, I really noticed a lot of people feeling a loss or a lacking.
Yeah.
And, I know I did, and I play it,
Yeah. Yeah, not just us, but people like it. Once again, one of the only shows I've gone to during this whole last year was that show in Smithville. Mm-hmm. And just the crowd that night, like their level of appreciation.
Yes, absolutely. And I felt like that was it was a beautiful moment. And, only a small group of people were able to witness that. And there's something special about that too. I don't necessarily, it doesn't have to be for thousands of people, or whatever.
Right.
If the music can touch just a small few, and that tends to have a ripple effect.
Right.
Where people can take that back with them to their homes and to their respective tribes and circles, and just utilize that energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we're all able to get out and start kind of doing it again. Have you gotten vaccinated?
The old vaccination.
Oh.
Johnson & Johnson. I met Johnson & Johnson one time.
You did?
I met him one time.
Yeah. Well, so when you go out and do these shows, there's so much that's done in the moment. Are you able to record these and like keep them? Do you?
Unfortunately, I'm not like a huge archivalist.
Right.
That's the word. But I sometimes wish that I did. But again, I do like being in the moment.
Right.
And, sometimes it's just meant for that,
Right.
But some of these shows I think will be recorded. There might be some live streaming, and that's very cool. So, everybody check your local listings for that. But ultimately, energetically, I just feel like if it's happening, it is a happening. It's in the universe. And even if, again, thousands of people don't see it, the ones that do feel it. And
right.
They can take that with them and give that to others. It's a difference between being in a situation where you're in a hole in the ground and then you come out and you feel that darkness, or when you're just surrounded by warmth. You tend to permeate that. You tend to sort of give what you get.
Right.
So hopefully we can give something special.
Well, good, man. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on April 11th at Antone's, and people can, I'll put a link to that event on my Facebook page, but also people can follow you on Facebook and Instagram. I'll put links to that as well. Is there anywhere else
cool.
that we should direct people to?
Well, I guess, the club is antonsnightclub.com,
Right.
and that's where the tickets are. And, go ahead and reserve those tables because, I think it's time for people to get fed. I think people really, I'm really thankful. I'm a native son, Austin,
Yep.
Texas, and I think that people have a lot of respect for that. I have a lot of love for Austin. I've given a lot.
Yeah.
And, I'm thankful for what Austin has given me. And, man, I would love for everybody to come out and just support and just have a good time. Just support the idea of a good life.
Yeah.
What a better way to feel that than with music.
That's true. That's very true, man. Well, dude, I wish you a very happy Easter. You and your family.
Yes. You too, the
And
resurrection.
I look forward to seeing you on the 11th. And, yeah, I love you very much. I'm glad I've gotten to see you a bit throughout the year.
I know, man. What a year it's been. But they can't shut it. They can't shut everything down. They can't shut everybody down. We're meant to congregate. We're meant to see each other. We're meant to be around each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, God bless you. I'll put all the info for the show in the text of this podcast, and it'll be out on Tuesday.
Right on, man.
All right.
God bless. All the best.
Love you, man.
Peace and love.
Temple Underground New Dawn Tour starts this Sunday here in Austin. Sunday, April 11th at Antone's. Show starts at 9 p.m. And you can get tickets at antonsnightclub.com. My dear friend, the great Brannen Temple. Always great getting to talk to him. That was actually the shortest conversation we've ever had. We had the longest conversation this podcast has ever had. Really, look it up. It's great. I'll post it on our Facebook page if you want to hear it. It's amazing. Brannen Temple has a great connection with his own history of jazz and soul music and just music in general and how it all connects to each other. He's like a living, he could teach a master class. He could be a professor of it. Anyway, get out there and check it out. Temple Underground New Dawn Tour. They're going to be heading out to the Southeast, doing the Nashville, doing the Memphis, doing the Marietta. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram. And, of course, see them this Sunday if you live in Austin, Sunday, April 11th at Antone's. Go to antonsnightclub.com for your tickets. All right, next up, I talked to my buddy Ben Jones from the band Beetroot Revival. He has released a brand new album called Going Nowhere Fast. It just came out. It's a record that he made while under quarantine by himself in his house. It's fucking great. He's a great musician, and he's a great songwriter. And this record is really, really good. You can find it at Bandcamp at benjones3.bandcamp.com. I'll put the link again in the text of this podcast, and you can get involved there. Of course, Beetroot Revival is still alive and kicking. They'll be playing once a month at this place called Dreamland in Dripping Springs, and you can find them at beetrootrevival.com. All right, so Ben and I were supposed to have this conversation a while back, and it got canceled for some reason, and then it got canceled because he had a show, and then finally we got it together to talk, and our connection wasn't going through. So there was a whole I hate Zoom. I do. I hate it. I want to hang out with people. I want to talk to my friends. I want to be in their presence, especially a guy like Ben. He's so nice. He's so talented. When this thing's lifting and people start hanging again, I'm going to hang out with Ben Jones. And plus, he's the boyfriend of my friend Kelly McWee. So that's a double your songwriter hang. Right? All right, so check out his album, Going Nowhere Fast, at benjones3.bandcamp.com. And please enjoy my conversation with the immensely talented and incredibly cool Ben Jones. Let's get down.
Concern yourself with such a silly No. Let me turn this light on at least, so that doesn't look like I'm sitting in a cave.
Yeah. You know, man, I think you got your theater references off. I think you actually could play like Jesus or like in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
Where you pull up in the van, you jeans and t-shirt kind of
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's what I'm saying. Anglicized. That's it. Yeah, anglicized Jesus. I think I'd be great in. You know what I mean? It's like I could just sort of and it would and I think it would have to be one of those sort of token walk-on roles from time to time because you can't blow it all. You know what I mean? It's got to be got to be one of those delicate build-ups, and they go, "Oh, look, it's Jesus."
Yeah.
But, I think. I mean, I'd go as far as saying we need that more than anything in this day and age, considering we're living at the height of cancel culture in everything.
No shit.
I think a good blasphemous white man Jesus thing that would really, that would really kind of sweeten the pot for me. When it comes to that,
I have a great photo I'll send you after we do this talk of a Halloween show I played where I was a guy that worked for the devil. And I ran into a very drunk Jesus in the hallway who told me he would take a picture of me doing, we'd both be doing this. Like the dirtiest thing you can do is Jesus. Anyway. Well,
it's good to see you, man.
It's good to see you.
Thank you so much for making this work. I'm sorry I had such a crazy couple of weeks. I mean, it never ceases to amaze me that in this time when, in theory, nothing is going on, there's a ton going on that seems to still get in the way of doing the things you want to do. Yeah. It's an amazing
well, there's also this thing. Murphy's Law kind of trip where if you have one thing to do on Monday at noon, you've double booked it. Like on something else.
Something will go wrong.
It's indicative of our times right now. Like the other day I booked 3 people for the same time slot and just didn't even realize I'd done it until I confirmed all of them.
Right.
And I had this one lady that was like, hey, this guy's available to talk March 24th through April 26th. And I was like, well, which one is it? March. And it was just like this kind of thing. And then I wrote her back and I'm like, okay, I'll see you on Friday. But it was supposed to be Thursday. And I was just like, But you know what? There's so much of that happening now.
Yeah.
How are you? How have you been maintaining outside of making a brilliant record, which we'll talk about in a second? How are you maintaining your sanity, or are you?
Well, I think like with all of us, I think like with all of us, it fluctuates.
Yeah.
I have good days and bad days. I think I think the hardest part. See, the maintenance of the sanity thing is, I think, in a nutshell, is probably things like this, as in like when you get to talk to your friends in a manner where it's like, I mean, this is an added bonus because obviously, being on your podcast is great, but it's like getting that connection where you get to just go, yeah, things are shitty, aren't they? And you go, yeah, things are shitty. It's like we almost don't need a resolution to it. It's that recognition of it. But on the larger scheme, I think the hardest things are just, it gives me a new appreciation for people who live very, very solitary lives.
Yeah.
Because I know my character type is not strong enough to be able to maintain that. I've always had this fantasy because I'm not a great fan of organized society and the way that it kind of manipulates and controls all of us.
Right.
I've always had this fantasy of sort of, I'll live off the grid and all. But this has made me realize, as much as I don't like the parameters of what I'm in, the alternate, which is not having anything, that frightens me more.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, it's like, as much as I complain about technology, and I really do. I mean, the issues that I have with social media in general are like catastrophic these days. I almost feel like I feel like the opposite of a conspiracy theorist, but I'll have as much of a want to go off on a rant about it.
Right.
But having this technology to be able to connect, to be able to still see someone's face, that's made a hell of a difference. That's so. I mean, that's the kind of the medium answer. I think it's more, trying to, early on it was very much a novel thing, as I'm sure you related to as well.
Right.
Like, you're like, well, well, I can turn this around. I can do all those things that I've been putting off for a long time. And I have to be honest, it was funny. Andrea and I, Andrea in Beetroot Revival, you know, we'd had a conversation maybe 3 months before, and Andrea, bless her, she's the best one for, like, she has a positive mental attitude, particularly towards what's next, always. You know what I mean? As in, she's a real driver when it comes to, like, promotion and that sort of thing. And I said to her, I said, honestly, I feel completely fucking burnt out. You know, we've been on the road solidly for like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I'm at that point where I don't want to do this anymore. Not with you, but as in, like, just at all. I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, and I got, you know, I got quite upset. Not angry upset, but like emotional upset with her, because she's, you know, my best friend as well. So it's like you can let it out. And I was like, I'm so frightened of letting you down and stuff by not. I said, I'm at my wit's end. And I said, what I really would like, I said, in an ideal world, I'd love just like 6 months off. And blow me if 3 months later the world shut down. You know what I mean? It was like it was almost prophetic in that way. It was like that, you know, you ask for a reprieve and God sends you a boat or something. I don't know. You know, I mean,
Exactly.
Me being an atheist, I thought, well, if there was a time for me to find God, this would be it. But so yeah, honestly, I mean, I think at first it was novel, as scary, you know, totally scary, but novel from that point of going, right, I'm going to be all right. You know, I've got me, I've got my girlfriend, you know, we're okay, you know, so I've got some company. Yeah. And I can do all the things, and hence why I ended up making a record and stuff. But those were the things that I think were the maintenance thing, because as much as I like to think I'm a list person, I'm not really. I make lists, but then I don't get the satisfaction of marking things off, because the list, probably the same as you, you know, you end up, it spirals off onto other projects, and then you go, I'm simultaneously working on all these things. And I think that's what keeps you sane, you know, because eventually you finish some of them, but you don't keep it to like a timeline, because that part makes it boring, I guess. But in this point of it, I don't know what's keeping me sane, honestly, because since the vaccine started rolling out, which I am, you know, over the moon about that it's there and that people are getting access to it. Yeah. Even that part has been politicized, you know, the thing of everyone being made to feel like, well, how are you jumping the line? And it's like, what the fuck? You know, it's like, this is a health pandemic. It's not only a health pandemic for this group of people. It's like for everyone. And we all need to get vaccinated for things to get back to normal. I've waited patiently, the same as everybody else. I've not wanted to jump the queue. As it was, an opportunity arose from a situation of, you know, like a friend of a friend thing, where they said, look, my friend is administering vaccines and they're getting wasted. So do you want to get on a list of where we can, you know, and I'm like, yeah,
exactly what happened to me.
I'm going to feel okay about it. Yeah. And that's how I feel. I'm like, the only way I'm going to feel okay about this is if I get it that way. And so I've had my first shot and I feel good about that, in spite of the fact that on social media there are still these, I mean, the trolling aspect of everything has just got out of control for me these days. So that part I'm not maintaining, but everything else I feel day to day all right. I'm waving, not drowning.
Right, you know? Right, yeah. There was something about getting, like, I just got mine last Wednesday, and the first one, there was something about walking out of there and kind of like, okay, like, this is like the first step back. There was like this level of anxiety that I didn't realize I had going for a year, like a solid year. I'm wiping down my fucking groceries with bleached rags and shit. Like, you know what I mean? And there was this sort of like breath I took that was very different than any I'd taken in the last year.
I bet. I can totally relate. It's so funny. When I went and got mine, I haven't had a vaccination since I was a kid.
Yeah, me neither.
When you're in school and you get the measles, mumps, and
polio
and meningitis. All of that. And so I had this. I mean, I was on the way there. I was very much like when the girl had said to me about it, I was like, "This is great, yeah, great. I'll be there." The closer I got, the more this. It wasn't a dread, but it was like a real I felt really like overcome emotionally.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm an emotional dude anyway, but it's like, I was so like, there was an anxiety that went with, oh, fucking, you know, the silly little things start happening to you. You go, oh, is it going to hurt? You know, stupid things. But it's like, there was none of that. I didn't for once feel any, I wasn't buying into any of the crazy conspiracies. I didn't, you know, and even if I have been microchipped, and Bill Gates is controlling me now, I'm okay with that, because I just think we're already
just want out of it. Yeah.
Well, we're already microchipped and controlled by the fact that we have a cell phone. You know, it's like everyone knows where we are at every given moment. Yeah. They know what websites we look at. They know what fucking groceries we buy.
I got one of those Google Nest things, and now I know it knows how much I talk to myself.
It knows you better than you know yourself. That's right.
It knows how much I was masturbating when the quarantine started.
That's right. Yeah. You jerked off for 2 hours and 37 minutes today. It's like, but it is. But that's the irony. You even saying that's the irony. Those people who think that, and again, I can't help but almost get political about it, because I feel the whole thing's been politicized. But on the other side of it, my approach, which is just get the fucking vaccine. There's a reason why people don't have polio and fucking smallpox anymore. Get the vaccine and be quiet. Yeah. This isn't about a control thing of society. If they really wanted to cull us all, they would just come round in the middle of the night with guns and they'd get rid of us. Yeah. If they really wanted to cull us, that's what they do. Yeah. But it's that, you know, I think that it's that, you know, you bring up that aspect of technology, all that information's already there. If society is already controlled, so anyone who believes this is going to control us anymore, they're obviously fucking crazy, because it's like you're already spoon-fed every day on your social media feed things that you've mentioned. Yeah. So, you know, we could be sitting here and talking about, and we might mention, if my phone is within earshot, and we might mention adult diapers. And if I keep saying the word adult diapers over and over again, it will start suggesting to me about, oh, are you suffering some kind of incontinence? Yeah. So it's like, you know, we're already being listened to and controlled. So, you know, give me the vaccine. I'm already controlled, so it doesn't matter to me. Yeah. Well, hey, so I do have
that
emotional thing too, like that.
Sorry, I have one big question then. After the year that you've been off of the road, now are you ready to go back on the road?
That's a good question. I mean, well, I'll have two approaches to it. The practical approach is no, only because I'm not ready to get into anything yet. Right. Not enough people have been vaccinated. But if this, so I mean, like literally at this point, no. But in general, if we get to a point in 6, 7, 8 months' time where a vast proportion have been vaccinated and there are good safety measures going forward for the following 18 months out. Yeah. I'm not averse to it, but what I definitely am now is I was already heading in this direction of, you know, without sounding pretentious, that sort of self-examination. You get to a point in your life, I'm nearly 40, it's that thing of going, that to me is like, it's not even a benchmark, but it's a reassessment point. It's right. Like then you go, okay,
totally.
Let's have a state of the union here. Where am I at? Where do I want to be? Are my goals still the same? And I know my goals are not the same anymore. And I know my outlook is not the same, for better or for worse. Yeah. And obviously COVID has heightened those things. So I'm only prepared to go out and do the things I really want to do now, which means probably, but don't get me wrong, I'm very lucky. There are a lot of things that we do as the Beetroot Revival thing that I really enjoy. And I love Andrea's company and all that sort of thing. So that part's never hard. I'm not down for doing the gigs for the sake of it anymore. Like that, right. I must have a full
just
diary.
Say yes. Yeah.
Not doing that anymore.
Yeah. I'm getting that feeling from a lot of people.
I'm more interested.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. You're more interested.
I mean, how do you feel about it? I mean, because, you know, how do you feel about it? Because you're in the same situation as me. You know, I mean,
that's how we make our living. Me? And also, it's, well, All right,
Yeah.
I've played 2 gigs over the last 2 Saturdays out of town with this band I'm in, Skyrocket. We played a couple weddings that we had to play because
Yeah.
we paid ourselves the deposit from these weddings last year when everything went down.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one of them was real scary and one of them wasn't. The first one was very scary. It was at a country club. It was rich people, obviously on the side of fuck the masks and all that shit. But the one this weekend, there was a lot of safety measures and people were cool. But I do want to get out and play again. I, however, am in the same thing. I don't want to do everything. I don't want to be gone every weekend of my life. I don't want to be, you know. So I mean,
that thing where you miss that.
Yeah, you miss it, but you
Yeah,
also
I miss that.
you want to have life now.
Yeah. Well, it's also those things again. It's not that I want to go, oh, I've really loved this year where I just don't do anything. You know, it's like, because I mean, like you, I have been doing things. It's just that it's not because I want to stay indoors or anything like that. I think it's made me reassess and rediscover my appreciation for the company that I like to keep, as in, and I think it's been an even more magnified perspective for me than it ordinarily would have been, because I haven't been able to go home. You know what I mean? I haven't been home since April of 2019 now.
Jesus.
Because obviously I came back after then with the plan I was going to go back that Christmas time, and then we had some shows that just didn't. It was a run of shows that we couldn't get out of and didn't want to. Like it just you know, it's just how it fell that way. So it was like, and so the plan was, I was like, well, I'll get South by out of the way and then I can go home. Well, obviously the week before, that's when we got shut down. And then after that, that's it. And so ordinarily, I have to be honest, I'm not the greatest compartmentalizer, but I've learned over the years, because I live that far away from my family and my sort of my long-term old friends, that I've learned to be able to manage the part that doesn't allow me to go down that road where I'm like, I'm miserable or I miss people. And, you know, but this year that has been particularly hard for that aspect, because, and that's fed the not wanting to go back into that, to like full tilt into that lifestyle, because it made me realize, you know, ordinarily I take it for granted because I know I can just go home at any time. So I go home a couple of times a year, if that, mate, you know, once at the very least. But now it's so strange. I found myself really yearning for just British culture things. Yeah. And it's not like I miss Britain. It's not like I'm one of those Brits abroad who wants to make where they live just like Britain. I'm not like that at all. I love living here. I love getting to drink in the culture of it. I love being surrounded by such a mixture of cultures. But that's definitely fed into my whole being as well as the other reasons. But it's definitely fed into that thing of going, that thing doesn't make me happy. Being in a van or being in a car for fucking days on end, and like for some, and don't get me wrong, Andrea loves it. Even the traveling bit, fucking loves it. So I'm lucky that rubs off a bit on me. I like nothing more than to get, you know, the aspects of it I've missed to get to your question, what you asked, rather than my little crazy diatribes that go off somewhere. The aspects I've missed are getting to go arriving in a little town somewhere where you can just have a little wander around. Yeah. And you can, you know, get the lay of the land and meet some people. Yeah. Those things haven't changed. I really miss people. Right. I miss that aspect of community, and I miss that aspect of getting to just hang out with your friends and make new ones. You know, I miss that. Yeah. The gigs, I don't miss them as much as I thought I would, only because, and like yourself, you know, I mean, you've done so much in short spaces of time in your career as well. I mean, I'm sure, you know, you've had like several things going on at once where you've managed them concurrently. So you've always been working. Right. There's that thing where you go, I still love this, but I need to. I guess the only way to describe it's if you're not a nymphomaniac, but yet you have sex 3 times a day, every day.
Right.
Sex isn't quite as exciting as if you have it 3 times a week or once a week.
Right.
It's that thing where I just feel like, wow, I now realize what it was that was getting to me for all those months. It was the repetition and not having as much as I don't like to think I'm a control freak, there probably is that aspect of like, you can't, it's not like a movie. You can't play the same movie every night and still get that feeling you got from when you first watched it. Unless it's the Godfather or something.
Right.
It's that thing of going, I'm tired of the circus. I need to just get off for a little while.
Yeah.
But it's not about the people aspect of it. That's the part that I want to get back to. So it's not about that. I'm not ungrateful of it. I'm really grateful to have this outlet and to have this career that so many people have helped me to maintain. Yeah. I'm not unaware of that. So it's not due to a lack of gratitude. I want to make that clear. I don't want to sound like one of those poncy, oh yes, I've had enough of my artsy life where I got to move away. It's I'm grateful.
Yeah. Well, man, so let's get into this album, Going Nowhere Fast. It's awesome. You played everything on it. You recorded it. It's but before we get to that, you'd started another album.
You froze for a second. Then.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you froze. Oh, there you go. Okay. So before you did Going Nowhere Fast.
You froze for a second.
Oh, sorry. Are you getting me now?
Technology, you see, it's those microchips.
It's our vaccines messing with our Wi-Fi.
I can hear you now. That's what it is.
Yeah. So you had a completely different record almost completed, right?
Go on. Sorry. Yeah. Go on.
Okay. So before you put out,
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, still.
All right. And so you abandoned that because you were making that like in a studio with a band or something?
No, just on my own. The same, just on my own. It's funny. I've made. Yeah. So what I did before I moved to here, I'd already put out. I had a band back home that I'd put out 3 records with, but I also made 2 solo albums. Just the one man band thing.
Right.
And when Andrea and I started working together, because that wasn't the plan, it just happened. It wasn't like a thought through thing. When we actually started doing that, I was still writing songs, that just the songs that were coming, and 90% of those just wouldn't fit what we were doing. So I just started stockpiling for quite a while. And before I knew it, I had what I thought was a cohesive project out of even a bunch of songs I'd written. So I started recording those things, as you said, at 5th Street Studios, where we made our first Big Root album here. It's just a nice little, you wouldn't even know it was there, kind of little studio, nice little analog studio. And I approached it again the same way as I had before, the one man band thing. Mainly, and again, it's not about the look at me, I'm playing it. It was more like
no, I know what you mean.
It was that I didn't have the money, and I never like asking people just because they're my friends. Yeah. I never like asking them to come and do something just because they're my mate. It's like it's their living too. I did get. I was very fortunate to have like my good friend David Jimenez, who's a great guitar player, and he's now part of this new project called Nuevo. He's playing some guitar on it. I've got Bill Kirchin playing a little bit of guitar on a couple of the songs. A couple of good friends, Melanie Lanau, she's actually left town now. She lives in Nashville now, but she's a great fiddle player, so I got her to come play some violin. And Mark Williams, Gumby, plays stand-up bass. He played some cello on it for me. And I've got the Tijuana Trainwreck horn from the Shiny Ribs playing on one of the songs, and I've got my girlfriend
Mark
Kelly
Wilson.
McQueen, she's doing some backing vocals. So, Mark Wilson's playing on Mark and Tiger, and they were great. It was great having them in for this. I mean, and so it's just I've gotten peppered over little things, but like you say, we got to that point, and I'd been working on it on just downtime. It wasn't with any deadline. Right. So it was just like as and when I was coming back into town, I'd book a few days, I'd go and do some stuff, leave it again. I ended up with about 20 songs recorded, and out of those I was going to pick like 12. And it had just gotten to the stage of I had one thing left to do recording wise, and then we were going to start mixing. And then obviously the world shut down.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I found myself in that position of, right, well, I'm still in that mode. I kind of want to write some things. I've never recorded. I've played everything on a project before, but I've never done everything. Like I've never just recorded it, mixed it, all that stuff. And I thought, if now is the time for me to learn if I can do that, because obviously for years I'd done home demos that were okay as demos, but not.
Right.
I'd never had the patience beforehand. It was like that. As much as I love analog technology, I'd never had the patience to be one of those people who wanted to do everything, because I'm too much like, I just want to move on. I want to get to the next instrument thing or whatever. And so I love great engineers, and I love their company, but I love their specific magic that they bring to it that makes you sound better, you know. And I was kind of thinking, right, well, I'm on the fucking high wire without a net here completely, because if I decide to put it out, I'm really going to get, if people don't like it or they think it sounds a load of shit, there's only one person to blame. On the other hand, I kind of enjoyed that aspect of it. I thought, well, I'm kind of living and dying by it. It's like if I was a painter, I wouldn't have to worry about someone doing the colours. You know, oh yeah, I just did the drawing and someone else coloured it in. It's like
you're doing everything.
They have that feeling all the time. Yeah, they have that feeling all the time, though, don't they? You know, if you're a painter, I mean, it's that. So it started more as an exercise, because I'd gotten Logic and I'd never used Logic. I'd used Pro Tools a little bit before, but never really used Logic. And I found that I really just enjoyed the process. I was like, so I'd go to my house, because during the lockdown period, Kelly and I've spent the majority of our time together. I'm at her place now. It's like, so this would be where I sort of lived.
The office.
But that I'd go home. I'd go home to work.
Yeah.
And I just really loved it, because it was that aspect of, at the end of every day, I'd go, oh, it would be that almost like you'd still have that ability to have a conversation with someone with that, oh, what did you do today? I'd go, oh, well, I did this. Do you want to hear it?
Right, yeah.
So it was that. It was like, it allowed me to have that. So, and because I was mixing as I went along, it didn't leave me with such a huge job at the end of it. Because I was like, I only had to do tweaks then. Right. It's by no means is it like, I mean, nothing's perfect, but what I mean is in like, even by my own standard, by no means is it's rough and ready and around the edges, it's raw. I left, not mistakes in, nothing like that, but as in I left it, if there were vocals that weren't as well recorded as they could have been, but I felt they captured the mood, I'd keep them, because it was just that thing of going, I'd always been inspired, as I'm sure you had as well, because I know you play a shit ton of things as well as, that's all the writing you've done. It's like I know you've gone into the same aspect of it. It's that I love the early McCarty records. McCartney one, of course. Ram. Yeah. It's like, and because I loved that thing of like, fuck, this dude just. Yeah. I mean, not only does he write the fucking greatest pop songs, it's like he really loved what he was doing, and for me that was always such a draw. Hence, when I'd done those records before, when I'd gone to a studio and done it, but this was like, I thought, wow, this is as near to that as I'm ever going to get, the proper McCartney experience.
Yeah. There's something about those records, if you don't mind me interrupting you, and I get it from yours as well. No. And I did a record like this, but it was more like when I did it, there was a label that wanted to put out the music of those songs, and when I went into the studio and cut one song like with my band and a thing, they were like, "Oh shit, dude, this like killed the vibe." You know what I mean? Yeah. So they were like, no more recording. Just give us all these things. And I was like, oh, but they're mixed. And I threw them away because they were demos. But I do fully realize demos as much as I can, because it's so fun to do it like that.
I'm sure, yeah.
Anyway, you can hear the gears turning is what I was going to say. You can hear them on the McCartney Bowl of Cherries record. You can hear it on your record. Totally. Miles Zuniga made a record a few years ago like that, where you can just hear that going on, and it's exciting.
It is. It's the one thing I've taken away from it, because I've carried on. I've actually made another record as well that I've got one song left to finish. Again, it was this stockpiling thing. So everything that was on Going Nowhere Fast, I wrote between March and the end of May. Wow. And then I basically finished it like by August or something. Whereas I stopped writing then, And I haven't written anything since then because I almost felt like, I don't mean like, oh, I've said everything I want to say.
Right,
I just lost that. I realized the project that I wanted to do. And then I guess my motivations shifted.
Yeah.
But I had these other songs that I've been stockpiling songs for 7 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy when I look at it like that. And so I finally found myself in a position where I go, oh, I've got more than just 10 songs that are good enough, at least in that aspect. I never know whether they're good or I would never, it's funny, Kelly and I would have this conversation last night. I'm like, I guess it's the Englishness in me that I would never say anything that I did was great. Because that's a little bit too far for me. It's like, I mean, because of one, I don't think it. I like what I do, and that's good enough. If I like it, that's good enough. And that's the approach I'm going to take. That's probably another thing that's come out of this experience, like you saying about, do you feel ready to go back out on the road? My perspective has changed completely on all of the things now. It's like, I think I was always aiming towards, there's certain ways of doing things, you know, even if you do it differently each time, there's still that certain approach. Whereas now I'm a little bit like, I totally understand why Paul Westerberg started making records the way he started making them after he left the Replacements. You know, it was like he makes these ramshackle fucking sounding things where sometimes it sounds like he's just turned the tape machine on and just fucking started. It started halfway through. Right. But it's that thing of capturing the essence of something and getting closer to that rather than labouring it too much.
Right.
It's not because I want everything to be punky or anything, not at all. I mean, my music isn't that way. It's fucking, you know, Jeff Lynne-esque power pop, I guess. Right. It's not like I'm not doing anything that is remotely even original from an approach. It's more like I just love pop songs and I want to record pop songs.
Yeah.
But my thing now is the aspect I've enjoyed about it has also made me realize, again, going back to the original stream, how much I miss people. I dearly miss playing with other people. I can't wait to get in a room with 3 or 4 other people and just play again.
Yeah.
In fact, as many people as I possibly can, to be honest. There's in as many iterations. I don't feel that need to be, oh, well, I need my guys kind of thing. So I don't have my guys. I'm not, there's so many musicians in this town that I love who I've never gotten to play with. I've never gotten to play or sing with you even. It's like, and I think to myself,
that'd be great.
Fucking no, I know these people, and yet I've never reached that. And so it changed that aspect for me because I'm like, there's things that I fucking dig. You know, that now after this very alone experience, I'm so ready to just have that again and have that. You know, but I say again, probably in a way that I've never had because I've never probably had the confidence to just reach out to people and go, look, you know, you don't know who I am, but I really love what you do. Would you fancy doing something? Because I've found that 90% of the time, people will say yes. They'll go, yeah, that'd be great. You know,
totally.
I mean, I've done a couple of things. I've done a couple of things with my good friend Eric Betancourt. I love Eric, and he's not an unapproachable person, but we've never spoken about doing anything together. But he had a single that he was mixing, and he sent over to me. And I went, I can really hear some backing vocal bits, and he was like, great, just record them and put them on it and send it back to me. And it was such a great experience again of just having that thing of going, oh, even though I'm not in the same room with you, I'm still enjoying this for what that is.
Right.
So I look forward to doing more of that.
Yeah.
That's what the whole solo man doing a record on his own has given. It's that appreciation for what others do bring to your project. Yeah. You know.
And you, I mean, I've from like, I guess mostly from social media, but I do know that you are, like, you and Andrea both are not just doing Beetroot Revival, but since you moved here, you do things, you participate in the community, and you and not in a bad way, but you take advantage of your community. You go out and you see Chris Gage on Monday nights. You know what I mean? Get up and do stuff. Anyway, man, let me ask you a question. Can you talk me through, because there's different ways, like oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, sorry. Once again, Zoom.
No, it's all right. There was a lag for a second there. That's all it is. Can't wait to see you in person.
Yeah, me too. Can you talk me through, like, was there one sort of way you did it? Like, did you start off with a click and then you'd play acoustic guitar and sing into one microphone and then build the track from there?
Yeah, exactly that. It was exactly that. It's like, I love Jeff Lynne. I love ELO.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily love how clean all of his records end up sounding these days, but I do love his approach, which is that, I mean, because he's so Beatlesque in his approach anyway. But I love that whole, you know, I wanted it so I approached it that way, you know, the whole, I'd put a click down and I'd put an acoustic, and then I didn't have real drums, but what I did have was I've got a really great Roland kit that I then linked up to some really great samples.
Oh, cool.
That were recorded. So I at least got real drum sounds, you know, because I didn't have access to any of that stuff, and I've never recorded actual drums at home before. And I thought, if I bog myself down in the technology of that, I'm never going to get anything done.
Yeah.
I've just become obsessed about that point.
Right.
So I was lucky enough to have that, and I had these samples that were recorded at Abbey Road. They're called 60s Drummer.
Yeah.
It's really funny. They've been recorded on Ludwig kits, and so that was totally how I did it, either piano or guitar, and then just built from there. And I realized I had this smorgasbord of instruments around me, and there was two particularly that I've never used on anything. Andrea bought me a lap steel for my birthday one year, and I'd never used it on anything. And I've got a sitar guitar, which I've still not used on anything, because I had it there, and I was like, I had it, but because I never want to use things for the sake of it, you know what I mean? It's like, I wanted to have something for it, but I did end up, like, I haven't played harmonica on a record since my very, very first album that I made when I was like 21 or something. So, and I had a bunch of harmonicas that actually fit on some of the songs. So I thought, that'd be nice to dip back into that. It was really, you know, like with most things, you know, you go in to make an album, but I think because I didn't have a roadmap other than the fact that I knew that these songs had been informed by the situation, what you were living through. It is very thematic, you know. I mean, as in, like, there are songs about being stuck indoors, and I mean, hence it's why it's called Going Nowhere Fast. It is like, that was what informed that, even though that song isn't about that.
No, but there's a lot. Keeping busy doing nothing has that. The days all bleed into one thing. I mean, that was probably the most lockdown song, and strangely enough, it was one of the last ones I recorded for it. Because I kind of thought, maybe I'm trying to be a bit too clever on this. Right. And the funny thing was, Kelly said, I mean, like with the lyrics, I thought, maybe I'm like trying too hard. But Kelly was the one who said to me, she was like, oh no, I think that's one of the best ones you've written now. Like, make sure you record that one. So that was why I did that. It was more like, all right, well, I'll do that. I mean, so it wasn't like I was sitting there with the confidence of going, oh yeah, I've got these great songs. I didn't know. I just thought, well, right. I like them. Yeah. I like them, and I like them enough to at least want to record them. So they're not just, I've written it and I'm, you know, just as an exercise even. So, right. And I found the more that I was doing it, because strangely enough, I'm not ashamed to say, like I don't imagine many people are, but I'm not ashamed to say I get therapy through Sims. Sure, me too. And during this time, I found it hard at first to have the Zoom therapy. Yeah, because I found that it didn't feel as personal, as intimate. Yeah, totally. So I think I found myself channeling in some of the things that I'd really been getting into with my therapist. I found myself channeling it into the songs, and I don't ever want it to sound like I'm making it a personal diary of mine, you know, because we've all got these issues. That's normally the beautiful thing about community. Right. That we realise that we're not alone, because we all go through shit, you know, right. Whatever it is, right. Whether it's chemical or whether it's real, you know, it's like we've all got something that really affects us. And I found that definitely leaked into some of the songs, you know, particularly Going Nowhere Fast, the whole, she told the lie so well, you would have thought it was the truth. That's true to me. It's not a she in real life, it's a he. Yeah. But it's there were things where I was like, when I look back at them afterwards, and I was like, geez, it's at least honest. There was an honesty in it that I feel like sometimes I don't reach because I'm trying to write more cleverly. Well, right. or just more obscure. Like you try and bury the thing. You don't want it to come to the surface. Right.
again, this lockdown experience has made me realise all those things you bury deep down, you've got to go fucking find them again, because it's like when you. This is the best analogy I've got for it. Kelly has got a cactus in her garden that has died due to the snowvid.
Oh yeah.
And we left it for a little while to see if bits would grow back, and it's died and it's rotted. So I went out there, I cut bits off, and got it out into the bags at the side of the road. And I have got 100 little thorns in my hands, like since then. And every once in a while I can get one out. I got the ones that seemed there on the surface, but after a while you realise there's far more in there than you first noticed. And I've still got one that's like it's had skin grow over it. Yeah. And this is my analogy. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with all those things that we, on an everyday basis, we get along with, and we just plaster over the cracks and we go on, and we don't think that they affect us as much as they do, until you get to that point where you have to stop, and then you go, oh shit, these things are actually controlling me all the time. And you've got to take the time to actually get the thorns out. Yeah. And I guess that's what this process of these songs has been. It's like, fuck, I might as well address it. I might as well just on the surface go, bang. Even if I don't use the right gender, even if I change the gender just to still protect a little bit of, make it a little bit anonymous, it's still that thing you go, I've got some fucking things here that I want to talk about. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that thing in, did you ever see that movie Magnolia?
Yeah.
Where the message is, you might be done with the past, but the past isn't done with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always a frightening time in your life.
Doesn't it annoy you though? Because I'm sure you felt the same. It's that thing where you go, particularly if you are driven to continue creating, as I know you are, particularly. Do you know what I mean? It's like you have so many outlets for your creativity. Right. You know what I mean? As in, like you have this bombastic, fucking amazing band that goes out. But you have your solo thing, and you have the things that you're strictly the things that are yours, with the originals and stuff. But you have this as an outlet where you delve into the psyches of others, and you can take, But it's that thing where you go, we're all of us somehow, even if we don't know it consciously, we quite clearly are always still searching for something, on a personal level, not just the bigger question. I always like to think, I'm quite clearly I'm an existentialist, and I just want to know the answers to the things I'm never going to know the answers to. When really, I'm so much more basic and textbook than that. Really, it's that I just want to be loved, and I just want to be liked for who I am. Please just give me that.
Yeah.
Fucking just give me that. And I guess that's what it boils down to. It's that we've never been confronted with this, so it's a completely different psychology. And I guess it's a gift. Yeah. This COVID thing has been a gift. It might not seem that way, but it's shown us so much that we would never have been shown had we not been put in such a compromised and fundamental changed environment. It's like this is as close as we're going to get to like a war happening. Yeah. And our parents and our parents' generations, they lived through that. You know what I mean? As in, like, my dad was born in 1942, so he doesn't remember the war going on, but my grandparents did. I mean, they're not here with us anymore, but as in, like, they got bombed out of their houses 6 times. Yeah. Fucking 6 times. And you think to yourself, Jesus, we're all complaining about having to stay at home on our sofa for a little while. But it still is that fundamental difference of that we've been lucky enough to grow up in generations where we're encouraged to recognise our mental health, and that it is important, and it's not just, there isn't just normal and crazy. It's like that's how you treat everybody else. Exactly. They're crazy. Yeah. Whereas if we get a cold, we know that we have to stop and look after ourselves and take some vitamins. But yet, if it's an internal thing, it's dicey now. Like, we're all making feel that way, and I just feel fortunate that we have that now. That we're not existing in the 50s. Yeah, me too. Even the 60s. Me too. We'd have half of us would have been committed long before this. Anyway, that's where you and I would definitely be talking. Yeah,
live from the asylum.
That's right.
You've been doing a lot of tributes to like classic records. You did Pet Sounds, Imagine, Harvest, Rumors, and more.
Yeah.
How much goes into that? How much do you already know? I mean, obviously, Pet Sounds, I know that took like probably looking up chords and shit. Because some of those,
Man,
yeah.
that was the hardest.
Yeah.
And it's funny because obviously I'm fortunate that I've had that experience of going out on the road with Brian Wilson and seeing that record played every
Every night.
But
yeah.
I've never, and that record changed my life. When I was 13, that was the record that really made me feel less alone because of the loneliness in some of the songs.
Exactly.
It's strange, but out of all of the records, that was the hardest, and it was because I was so nervous about doing that record because it meant so much to me, but two, because I know a lot of the guys in his band and they were so supportive of me when well, that was it. I actually got messages from someone and they were like, "Good on you, man." You know, it was like, and in my mind, I'm like, "Oh fuck, please don't say you're going to tune in," which is crazy because their opinion isn't any more important than anybody else's. But it's that thing when you know someone who knows how to do something the right way.
Yeah,
you go off. So don't get me wrong. When I did that, I practiced like a fucking demon for weeks.
Yeah.
Whereas the others, I'm not like a little tossed off, but I'm like, I play through them because I love those songs, So like Harvest, I know that fucking record backwards. The same as the Beatles record and the Imagine and stuff. I know them backwards because I've listened to them so much and like played along when I was a kid. That was how I basically learned how to play. I was like, I'm probably sure you did. You learn by playing along the things you love.
Yeah.
But Pet Sounds, the only song I knew how to play on Pet Sounds before was God Only Knows, because it was something, because I love that song so much.
Yeah.
I took the time to work out what the actual chords were.
Yeah.
But then when you realize, you go, oh Jesus, there's like 10 other songs that have got
equally as complex. Chords. Yeah.
Yeah, that are like, I've really enjoyed doing it though, I have to say. I mean, and again, this is something I know that you'll definitely relate to. I can actually talk to you about this on a level where you get it completely, because you've married up so well in your career, the originals, and not being ashamed of, you've got a fucking amazing cover band.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As in, like, you do it right. It's like, you don't do it half-assed. It's not like, you could never be like, well, no one's ever going to, that's why no one calls you a cover band that way. They go Skyrocket, because it's like, fucking Skyrocket is an entity of itself, because you take those songs as seriously as if they were your own.
Yeah. And
I think, so you get this. It's that thing where you go, I love these things so much. I don't want to fuck them up.
Right.
And it's hard enough saying you're going to do it in the first place, because because I'm so cripplingly English at times. It's that thing where you go, or I don't want to seem as I'm being arrogant by going, oh yes, I'm going to play this entire album. It's like, fuck, I want it. I want to make sure it comes across as I am this fan who is just going to be playing and singing it with a guitar.
And it totally does.
I'm not like claiming to be like, we are going to book Festival Hall and I'm going to be performing Sgt. Pepper in its entirety. It's like, but it gives you, as I'm sure you've gotten from it as well, it's that it gives you another appreciation of why you loved those things so deeply, even before you knew how to play. When you're a kid and you just hear things and you go, fuck, I love that. I don't even know why, but I just love it. And then, so Pet Sounds particularly gave me, I mean, I love Brian Wilson on so many levels, but it gave me an even deeper appreciation to go, my God, this man was 25 years old when he composed.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
And he was coming up with, and he had no formal training. It's not like he went to music school, went to like a conservatory or anything. He was like, and yet he had this ability to be able to hear things on a level where you just go, I now understand why those in the know even called him a genius. It's not an overused term with him.
No.
He is a genius, because musically those things are so harmonically complex, yet so relatable when you sing them. It's unbelievable. I mean, to me, I'm like, so that was an absolute pleasure. If you put a gun to my head and ask me to play them again now, I can remember how to play 2 songs.
Right.
Because they're so fucking
hard. Yeah. You know what's funny? You were talking about ELO earlier, and before you moved to town, one of the ways that Skyrocket kind of asserted ourselves outside of what that was that we did these shows that were straight up ELO tribute shows where we brought in like the Tosca string quartet and like an extra keyboard player. And
Cool.
yeah, it's pretty awesome. You know, I think I think I can find this show somewhere. It's really good.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it, to see it. I really would. Yeah, I mean that's my, for better want of a phrase, that is, you know, Austin Powers, and that is my bag.
Yeah, yeah, it's my bag too. But I'll tell you what, man, doing those shows, I was just talking about it with my cousin this weekend. She was telling her fiance about it, and she was like one of her favorite things we ever did. And she was like, "Why don't you do it again?" And I was like, "Well, because we almost like one guy. That's the only time anybody ever like threw something down and left during a rehearsal."
I totally get it. Yeah, I get it. It's you get even more precious about it than you do your own thing.
Yeah. Well, when you dig into those songs, it's not like quarterly they're insane or anything, but you start digging into those songs and they are fucking dense with backing vocals and, you know, counter string melodies and
they're just brilliant. I mean, again, someone like, and the thing about Jeff Lynne, the thing I love about him is that he's such a goober, you know, as in like, you see him interviewed, and he's so like, oh well, yeah, you know, and it's like it's like talking to someone's dad.
Yeah.
But not like a cool dad.
Right. Like a dork. Dad. Yeah.
But the beauty of him, for those of us who really don't subscribe to the whole cool thing anyway, that he's the real deal cool. Because he can just do this. He can do this shit, and it doesn't matter how much of a goober he seems to be. It's like you just go, fucking hell, this guy's so cool, because he's oblivious. He's oblivious to the trend. Right. I mean, and you can tell that even when you look back when he was doing ELO the first time round, when it was still properly, you know, a band, even though he was the leader. You can tell even by the way he dressed and the way he spoke. It's like he almost fell into fame by accident. Yeah. You know, he was at the right place at the right time doing the right thing, because it was nothing to do with him being an enigmatic and, charismatic guy.
No. He did definitely define his look.
Totally. Well, I think it was that whole, like Roy Orbison to a degree.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's that thing, like, I'm going to say as little as possible. I'm going to always keep my sunglasses on, because I don't want people to see how cripplingly shy and how cripplingly awkward I really am. Yeah. So I'd rather him just think, oh, he's a cool, calm, collected dude. Right. It's because I'm actually quite intimidated by these situations. Yeah. It's funny, Jeff Lynne, before he did the reboot of ELO a few years ago, you know, he kept popping up on things. Like after George died, he was part of the George Harrison tribute thing, and then when George was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he played on that with Tom Petty and Prince. And right, yeah. And yet he would turn up in this little fisherman's hat. Yeah. Like it was like another added part of his "Don't Look at Me" costume. Right. And I heard interviews of him at the time when he went on Radio 2 in the UK, which is, you know, like the big radio station, Radio 1 and Radio 2, you know. And they did like a phone-in poll type thing about Chris Evans, the big DJ there, had said, "Oh, we think you should bring ELO back, you know, properly bring it back." Right. And he couldn't get over the overwhelming response that people want, because he was just like, I never knew people liked us that much. He went, in my mind, it was like, I knew I'd been successful because the songs had done well. He went, but I didn't think they liked me or the band, you know. Yeah. It was a genuine a genuine kind of response. There was no it was no faux humble thing. It was like, you could tell he was like, and I kind of love that about him, because he is a little bit like the Mad Professor. You know, it's like him. Tom Waits has more of an image, but Tom Waits is similar as well. It's why he's so eccentric. I think. They are like, they'd much rather be tinkering in their fucking laboratory in the workshop than they would be going out and having to do the social things. Hence why neither of them toured for so long. I mean, Tom Waits still, it almost feels like he's retired. You can't say that he's retired, because as soon as you do, he'll bring something out and he'll do something, and it'll be really theatrical. you still won't get him. It's like,
Yeah.
I kind of love that about him.
You know what's funny in that?
I love that.
What's that Black and White, An Evening with Roy Orbison, where all those dudes?
Oh yeah, the Black and White Night. Yeah.
He's fucking awesome as a piano guy on that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and who would have thought? I mean, it's like, I agree. It was
And
like,
also, who would have thought was in that? Why would he be in that band?
Yeah, I think.
You know, sorry.
I know, and yet it works so well. It's kind of crazy. It's like, no, but you're right. It is. It's like that. That in itself is an interesting thing. I think about certain artists who we have preconceptions about.
Right.
You know, someone like Tom Waite, someone like Jeff Lynne. You know, they aren't the most obvious or understood of people because of that. Because you can't really pigeonhole them. I mean, particularly Tom Waits. I mean, the thing I love about him the most is that he's had a career in spite of. Oh, look who's there!
Hi.
Hi, Kelly McWee.
He's had a career in.
Hi, Daddy.
She's just come back from an infrared sweat because she can't go to yoga obviously at the moment because it's not safe. So she goes to infrared sweat.
Oh, that's good.
Which works, which is good. But yeah, he's always interested me on that level of, like, you know, I remember seeing an interview with him where he said, I mean, he's such a charismatic interview, and yet it's even that I feel like he's playing a character. But he went on David Letterman because David Letterman used to seem to have him on there because he loved him so much, and he was like, he said I went to this. He said from time to time I get involved in the school field trips on the school outings with my kids. He said, and there was this one trip and they were going to the Gibson Guitar Factory. He said, and there was a part of me that was like, he said, I got there and I was like, I'd sort of lean on things, expecting someone to recognise me. You know, and he went, and nothing. You know, it was like I'm wandering around the Gibson factory with these kids, you know, just being a chaperone. He went, nothing. He went, and the next one that they called on me for the chaperone was, he said it was to the local dump. It was to the dump. He said, and I went there. He went, and as I got out of the car, everyone went, Tom, how's it going, Tom? He went, there you go. You know, it's like, and I love that because it was that he went, you know, I'm more recognised at the dump than I am in some kind of musical institution.
There's something about that, you know, he's just so proud of himself for that too.
Yeah. Well, I remember again in another interview that he talked about how when he was growing up, he said he would always gravitate towards, like, when he'd go around a friend's house,
right?
He'd always end up he'd always end up talking to the friend's dad because the dad would be tinkering on a car or something. Like, he said, I always just found that more interesting than playing in the yard.
Right.
And I think I've always been influenced by those sorts of characters. Those, again, there's probably that egotistical part of it. As you go on in your life, you recognise it. You go, well, I want to make my mark or whatever it is.
Right.
But by the time, if you're lucky enough, I think by the time you recognise it, it's because you actually you want to shun it off. You're like, you realise the impotency of feeding the ego. It's an impotent thing because it's like a drug addiction. It's never going to be enough. You're never going to get enough of it.
Right.
And we all know what drug addiction does to you in the end. It kills you. It's like I almost feel fortunate to realise my standing in life, which is, I'm lucky. I'm just lucky to be alive in the first place, getting to do something that a bunch of other people have been nice enough to me that they haven't ever said to me, you can't fucking do that.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel so fortunate in that. And I think it's funny, those people that have made it, that we've all been influenced by, they've come from a generation in time where the industry hadn't started to recognise that yet.
Right.
So it allowed people like that to get through because those sorts of people were also running the industry. Whereas now it's such a controlled thing that if anyone, you can't even gauge what something is good anymore by the standard of what's coming out, because, and that's not to say that there's not great things that are coming out in the commercial world. Of course there are. But what I mean is it's very much a whole thing now. It's like the 360 deal.
Right.
That's the same thing within the creativity thing. It's like the creativity part of it, that's only a little bit of it now.
Right.
The rest of it is the branding, marketing, and the what other, how can we cross-pollinate this with other mediums and this and that? It's like, I admire Taylor Swift so much because I don't. It's not that I love everything she does musically. I don't think anything she does is really bad, not at all. But as in, she is so dedicated to the whole process, everything. The way she's like Madonna in that way, but yet in a time where it's actually that much harder to be a Madonna these days.
Right.
Because so I admire people like that so much, because I just think the sad thing is if we gauge our own successes based upon the people that inspired us, we're never going to feel like we've been successful.
No.
But the beauty of it is that we have been, because we've been autonomous. We've made the kind of stuff we wanted to make, and it's been received well. And we get to carry on doing it. So on that, it sounds like I'm kind of like poo-pooing it, but it's not. I actually think that is true success. It's the same as the whole, out of the 10 million sperm that were swimming towards the egg, we were the ones that made it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, we were already winning.
Yeah.
That's
true.
That's what I'm using to justify the fact that I look like a hobo on Zoom these days.
Or Jesus.
Yeah.
So,
Hobo
all right.
Jesus.
Hobo Jesus. That's a good Jesus.
That's my next album title. Hobo Jesus. It's just going to be a picture like this. Hobo Jesus.
So you've got another record ready to go, or you've
pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I've got one more song left to record for it.
Was
when I was living in the UK, I made a record called The Heartbreak Handbook.
Uh-huh.
And it was I made it in one day. It was just live with very minimal overdubs. So I just did the acoustic guitar and piano and vocal all live. And then I just did minimal overdubs for it, finished it. And it was this little collection of songs that didn't fit with the band thing I was doing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I never did anything with it. I just basically put it aside. It was almost like that was that. I've done it. And then when I came to this, after I'd finished the Going Nowhere Fast, I had this little collection of acoustic songs that they had this very, not similar musically, but similar thematically. And it kind of reminded me of this Heartbreak House. So I thought, wouldn't it be great just for me to have this volume 2? It's like, that was where I was then,
right,
with these little emotional confessional songs.
Yeah.
This is where I am now. And so that's what I went into next. So I started recording it about, I don't know, 5 weeks ago, something like that. And just in dribs and drabs, little bits and pieces. And it's basically finished.
That's great.
What I'm going to do with it, I think I was talking to Kelly about it, and she thought it would be a good idea as well to almost do the one song a month thing, where you release a song a month and have a video with it and stuff like that. So just to give it a little bit more maximum exposure.
Yeah.
Terrible at,
Yeah.
Because I think I've unfortunately always come from the school of thought that people die from exposure.
Right, exactly.
I'm not very good at it. I'm not very good at knowing what to do. That's hence why when I did the Going Nowhere fasting, I just sort of basically put it out, and I made a few Facebook posts and a few Instagram posts about it, and that was really it. Because it wasn't. It's not because I'm stupid or it's mainly just because I don't have the patience to spend time promoting something when I can't go out and play gigs on it.
Right.
So
yeah,
and I know that a lot of people have got live stream fatigue. So it's that as well. You kind of go, I don't want to. It's almost like backwards and coming forward. Yeah. I don't want to bother you, but I've got this new little record out. It's like.
Are you?
So that's the plan with that one.
Okay. Yeah. Are you still doing any live streams? Are you still? Is there any regularity to it, or are you just popping up every once in a while?
Yeah. No, I never had a definite like date.
Right.
Or day that I was doing them on. I basically would just, I'd see what was going on. I'd see if I never wanted to overdo it with, of course, because Andrea does a lot of things as well, and we had the Beetroot ones, so I kind of didn't want us to oversaturate the minimum that we can reach with the new Facebook algorithm and that kind of thing. Anyway, so yeah, I plan to continue doing them, particularly because it's also good for me to. Both of us get quite a lot of people tuning in from the UK because obviously friends and whatnot there.
Of course, yeah.
So from that perspective, I've enjoyed it for that. I don't want to do it all the time.
No,
I can't say I've enjoyed it like immensely for that. The part that I've enjoyed about it the most is the people, the comment section, the live comments, connecting with people. that I've loved, like, and I've been able to reconnect with some people that I'd lost contact with through that. The original reason why I went on Facebook 13 years ago or whatever it was when I first joined it, and anyway, you know, it was just to stay connected with people, and so that I've loved about. I've really loved that part.
That's the one part about, I realized how much I've toured through my life by going on there and realizing there's people that haven't seen you in anywhere from 5 to 10 years because you haven't been back to that town or something.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. I just don't feel like anyone's going to come across it and become a fan of mine from me singing at my phone.
I know what you mean. Well, I know what you mean. But that's not based upon quality. It's just based upon the fact that it's
the same thing everyone's seeing.
It's a computer screen.
Yeah.
But it's not in person. It's not 3-dimensional. It's not.
Right.
You know, you can switch it on and switch it off when you feel like it. It's casual.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess, you know, but again, as I'm sure you are, I'm certainly grateful that it's been there during this time. I mean, the first 6 months of it definitely, it was the difference between me losing my place to live and not. Exactly. You know, exactly.
Like, me too.
You know,
and there are.
I'm grateful of it, but yeah.
Yeah, you realize there are generous people out there that what you do means so much to them that they're cognizant of the fact that you wouldn't be sitting there singing at your phone if you didn't need to eat or make rent or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and it's an interesting psychology, I think, because again, going back to that whole, you know, none of us have ever had to be confronted with that before.
Yeah.
So it's like we've never done this thing. It's like we've done concert windows and things like on odd occasions, but not like where you go, all right, I've got a live stream. You know, we live in live stream mentality now. I've got to have the right lighting. I've got to have the right back. I've got to have the right. I've got to have the right sound system set so that I've got everything. You know, because the first few I did was just in front of a camera. It was just like, you know, I put the camera there and there was no mixer and no thing. Yeah. It was just this is it. You know, and it became more elaborate as time went on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I guess we're going to be doing somewhat of that stuff, but at least stuff will be coming back. Do you have any plans to play even like at an outside place or anything, or any kind of?
Yes, we're actually, Andrea and I have actually just started doing things again. So we're Be Revival are playing at there's this new place out in Dripping Strings called Dreamland. Uh-huh. It's an all-purpose outdoor place that's been built. So we're playing there on the 26th of March, and then we're going to be starting a monthly residency there, I believe, on a Saturday. I don't know the exact dates for that. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. I haven't been there yet, but I've seen rave reviews from people like Ray Prim has played out there, and they just loved it. And the more I've seen of it, because it's set up and has been built during COVID times for the contingency of outdoor shows being the norm for a good while. Right. They've got all of they've opened with all of the measures in place. It's not like they've had to adapt.
I want to check that place out.
So we've got that. Yeah, man. I mean, you guys would play out. I mean, go down the storm, but it seemed because they've actually got a stage there that is.
Oh, really? We actually, you know, in Skyrocket, we're kind of looking to phase out a lot of our public gigs. That was part of the coming back from the thing. Like,
you only did minimal anyway, though.
Yeah. Well, it started getting to be a lot after a while, and and it burns you out, man. You know. Anyway.
I get it. Especially lots of matches.
Yeah. So Dreamland, you'll be playing there weekly at some point, because this is going to come out after the 26th. Monthly. Okay.
Once a month. Yeah, once a month from April onwards. Let's just say, okay. Yeah. I mean, from April onwards, at least once a month, and then hopefully our other sort of residuals will pick up. You know, once the Saturn again start doing some shows, and but you know, at the moment I feel like we're in uncharted waters, and we've got to just see what happens as we go back in. You know, I'm not. Like I said to you before, I'm kind of I'm under committal. Yeah. Anything until I see that it's not encouraging people to gather in an unsafe way.
Right. Of course.
For whatever my little portion of influence is, which is very small, you know, it's still that thing where you go, I still don't want to be one of those people that encourages people to gather in a manner that is not safe. Right? Yeah. Beyond that though, man, you know, the world is our oyster.
Yeah, it is. Well,
Digitally.
people can find out where you guys are playing and find out what date once a month you'll be playing by going to beatrootrevival.com. But also get this record on Bandcamp by going to benjones3.bandcamp.com. Yeah.
That's right. You can get it there, and I'll have my website hopefully set up very soon. I've been working through like just the logistics of that recently, but I did everything else first. So I've been getting my catalog stuff up on all of the streaming services. So you can actually find Going Nowhere Fast on Spotify now,
Of course.
Amazon Music, and iTunes and Apple, all those things.
Yeah.
But I did that afterwards because obviously my first port of call was Bandcamp because it
Sure.
was an instant thing. It was like, I finished this thing and I want to get it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
You
is
can find it on all the things now, but it's
also your old band,
tough with a name
the
like
Love
Ben
Days.
Jones. It's like having a name like
Right.
Ben Cook.
Yeah, Googling you and prepping for this was
Yeah, that
very
my
hard.
old-
Sorry.
I know. I need to change my name or something. But yeah, the Love Days. That was my legacy band now, I guess.
Yeah,
'Cause
man.
It was like it finished back in 2000 and something or other, and then we did a reunion thing in 2012, and then. But yeah, I was contacted by a Greek record label called Green Cookie. They're a cool little label. They put out a bunch of reissues of power pop and sort of 60s psych and garage influenced stuff. And they were like, your records aren't available, and they're particularly not available on vinyl. We'd like to reissue. I was like, is it going to cost me anything? And they were like, nope. I was like, great, I'm in.
Yeah.
But they've done, all jest aside now, they've done a really great job in the vinyl issue that they've done, and they want to do some more stuff with me. So they're a really cool little outfit just to check out, just for, not even for the fact of my involvement in it. They've got some
It's a
really
cool
good music
band.
on
Yeah.
their label.
But your band's
Thanks,
cool.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that, and I actually have plans to do more with those same guys when I can eventually get back to England, because I've actually got another album that's been I've put aside, as in it's completely unrecorded, of songs that I wrote for those particular guys. I don't know whether it will be called the Love Days anymore, because it'll be a different drummer, and you'll know it yourself. There's certain people that you have in the band, even if you write all the songs, but they bring an essence to something that you don't feel like you can call it anything else without them.
Right.
So we'll see. But
Yeah.
It's nice to have a few different irons in the fire, even in a time where you feel like nothing was happening. In that time, I've made a couple of music videos, I made a record, I got a vinyl reissue. So
You've
it
done
at
some
least
stuff,
makes me
man.
feel as though the year wasn't completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't wasted.
You also learned to perform pet sounds. That in itself is a feat. I mean, honestly, it is.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, dude,
Yeah.
I've got to go because I have another person coming on in like 5 minutes. But is it 1:25?
man, thanks for making the time. And
Dude,
I really appreciate
of course,
it.
man.
Schedule.
I
I love to.
look. It's been happening all around, but it's such a pleasure to talk to you. And let's hang out, man. Let's do that. Let's do
for sure,
some
man.
music
Soon as
stuff and hang out.
I've got about 2.5 weeks to that second vaccine, man. And I'm
I know.
like, woo!
Yeah. Let's get together in April or something.
Right.
All right. Well, tell Kelly I said hey, and
I love that, man.
it's great
Thanks
talking
again.
to you. All right.
You too, brother.
All right.
Here she is.
Bye, Kelly.
She's my special appearance.
Bye, sweetie.
Special guest appearance.
Special guest appearance by Kelly McWee. Dude, yeah, let's stay in touch.
That's right.
It's great talking to you, and congratulations. This record's fucking great.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And thanks for taking the time to listen to it. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome,
You have a
man.
good one, and we'll speak soon.
All right, bro.
May not be the first time, I'm damn sure it's not the last. But you're never gone.
Ben Jones. Get his album Going Nowhere Fast at benjones3.bandcamp.com. What a great dude, man. That was a great conversation. I love talking to him. I feel like he's as fabulously neurotic as I am, and we can really kind of dig into that a little bit. You know what I mean? Ben Jones, Going Nowhere Fast. Also, check out Beetroot Revival at beetrootrevival.com. Always great getting to talk to Ben. I'm looking forward to seeing him in person and seeing him play. And don't forget, gang, Temple Underground is heading out on the New Dawn Tour starting this Sunday, April 11th at Antone's. At 9 p.m. the show is. At 9 p.m. the show is. AntonsNightclub.com. Get your tickets there. And check out Brannen Temple and his amazing band and music. All right? Let's hear the rest of this song, Going Nowhere Fast, from my pal Ben Jones and his album, Going Nowhere Fast. Don't forget, when you're out there checking out Ben Jones and Brannen Temple and all those guys everywhere, you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is that you find podcasts, be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher, anywhere We're back to 2 shows a week. I'll be dropping From the Vault episodes every couple of weeks, so look for that next week. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to Kathy McCarty in person. Look for that in the next couple of weeks. And Friday, Langhorne Slim. You know who that is? Get hip. Go look him up. All right, here's the rest of Going Nowhere Fast by my pal, Ben Jones. Have a great week, whatever it is you're doing. Let's get down.
Find yourself